Welcome. I'm Magli Pesha, and today we're going to be talking about the 4 client types. Now, this is a system for understanding our clients better, and it comes from my background in Ayurveda. I'm a trained clinical Ayurvedic specialist, and that's what I did before I began my work as a life coach and an activation method coach. 12 years ago, I took my love for Ayurveda and my love for coaching, and I combined them in what we now call our activation method coaching system. And I use this idea of the 4 client types coming from Ayurveda in everything I do. Every time I meet with a client, every time I plan a coaching program, the elements are there to support and to empower and to learn and grow from. So it's something I deeply love, and I'm really happy to share with you today. And I'm sharing this today in maybe in a bit of a more rapid version than I've done before. I want you to understand it, and I want to go through it with you. Some of you, it may be not the first time you hear about these, but you'll be putting on your coach's hat today and thinking, how would this apply to my work with other people? How could this influence me positively in the way I learn and grow in the relationship with a friend, a family member, a client I'm working with, and most importantly, the friendship with yourself? How can learning more about these element personality types help in the way you relate to yourself? So please drop a message in the comments all the way through this video, because I want to know how this is impacting you and your self-awareness and the way you imagine doing this work of coaching, or the way you already do it with others, how this supports, how understanding a person's client type through the elements will support the way you work with the people that you help. So I'm going to just go ahead and share my slides with you. Okay, so these are the 4 main elements. Now, space is the 5th element, and we'll talk about that too, as it relates to the air type. But space is there kind of holding all of them. I don't want to leave out space because I just love space. I love all of these elements so much, and they're really a part of all of us. So even though in Ayurveda we learn to find out what's the primary in a person and the secondary and sometimes the third, or what percentages and all that, when we use this work as coaches, it's more to understand the personality and the way the personality is impacting the client's ability to take actions or be in relationship, and the way these elements kind of shift throughout life, throughout the day, and even sometimes in different relationships. So let's look into that more closely and how we're able to help more when we understand this. So air and space, let's begin more experientially. Let's just begin by feeling into air and space. Imagine maybe the breeze going through a field. Imagine the wide open expanse of the horizon, of the stars at night. And you kind of get that experience of possibility, right? Spaciousness, to be wide and expansive. That is some of the qualities of air. And in our personality, that can be enthusiastic. It can be also, in a negative way, it might be distraction. We're easily distracted when we have a lot of air quality. It can mean having a lot of projects going at once, being busy, talking quickly. It can also lead to sort of a very fast pace of thinking and doing and being. So this might lead to overwhelm. It might lead to anxiety. So in the kind of healthiest state, it's positive, enthusiastic, hopeful. It holds all that potential, and it's excited. And when that becomes overly done or overly strong for whatever reason, it can lead to some fatigue, some overwhelm, stress. And this might be because of an activity we're engaged in. This might be because of a time of life. This might be because of actually the weather. So all kinds of things can increase it. You will know this quality in your clients of air and space when they present with a lot of words, a lot of flow of ideas, and they might even distract themselves. It's hard to clearly get their message across. Or it might present as bubbly, enthusiastic language. This is so cool. This is awesome. I'm excited. Let's do it. You know, you get what I mean? That kind of spirit. And it's lovely to be with clients who have a lot of air and space. They're flexible, creative, open, expanded, and drop a note in the comments. Tell me if you relate to this one. Now, sometimes what our air clients are really craving is to help being grounded, help and support to be steady, clear, and concise. Air clients want to finish all of those multiple projects they're working on. They want follow through. They want to overcome procrastination. They want to lower their stress levels. They want to heal their anxiety. They want to love themselves, ground themselves, and be more strong, comfortable, and steady. So often one of the things they want is more patience. They want step-by-step action taking. They want life balance, clarity, and grounding. The cool thing is that when you're a coach working with an air client and you know this about them, that they're an air client, it makes it a lot easier to plan the sessions you'll have, the skills you'll explore, the kinds of breakthroughs that will help them, the kinds of homework and practices and intention setting that will empower them. So it's good to take it slow with an air client because you want to be that steady presence. So even if they're moving very fast, they need help slowing it down. You can match their natural enthusiasm by empowering your own enthusiasm. And you should ground yourself well, always, but even more with an air client. Ground yourself during the session. I sometimes just put my hands on my legs, tap my feet a little bit, and just imagine that I'm that big present tree. Okay, let's see what more we have here. Fire. All right, so fire, you might think of passion. Fire is direct. Fire is motivated. Fire is joyful. Fire can also be angry. There's a lot of emotion with fire. Fire can burn out, of course. Fire can go very fast. Fire can be the warm, loving presence, and fire can be, of course, so transformative that it has that quality of burning things up. As qualities in a person, a fire type might be very blunt, direct. They're great leaders. They can have great discernment and judgment. They might be overly critical, overly judgmental. They might tend towards anger or losing their ability to control their words, their emotions, losing their temper. They may have impatience. So let me know if this relates to you at all. Often visual artists have a lot of fire. Often writers have a lot of fire. Thinkers, doers, planners have a lot of fire. One way I know if I'm working with a fire client, they will usually give me a suggestion right off about my organization as a coach. So they're really good at kind of giving critical thought to the way even the enrollment process is going. So I have a lot of fire too, and I always appreciate it when I meet a fellow fire person. And fortunately, I feel that I've balanced my fire quite well, so I can help someone very naturally do that. So that might be one of the things you notice. If you're more of one type or another, you might have a natural way of working with that person to find balance because it's natural to you. Of course, we resonate more. However, we can learn to appreciate all the elements and understand what each client needs that has, for whatever reason in this moment in their life, more or less of a certain element. So let's talk about that less than. If a fire client is feeling a lack of joy, a lack of energy, they've probably burned out. If they're feeling like they remember being very enthusiastic or having that momentum, that kind of that spirit to do things they care about, to be creative. Often fire people remember that part of themselves really well, and they know that right now it's not there. And that usually means they burned out. So we can help them with their burnout. And of course, burnout. What a perfect, you got to love language, perfect description for what's going out. The fire has burned too long, too high, too hot, and it has burned out. So we want to add in acceptance, healthy communication. We want to add in compassion and cooling down. So taking a step back, finding presence, cooling breathing, ways to feel that cozy warmth and creativity, but knowing limits, having healthy boundaries, bringing in more listening skills, more attention to sensations. And when we help a fire person, the cool thing about fire is they learn very quickly and they will adapt ideas and suggestions right away. So growth happens usually, even if the growth is actually to reduce the fire, it happens quickly and precisely. So fire clients appreciate clear directions. They appreciate prioritizing what they really need. They appreciate having a plan and taking actions. And it's good to know that if you're working with a fire person. Now, earth is often a beautiful balancer to fire. So earth clients are loyal, they're consistent, they're reliable. Earth is kind of a form of, well, it's grounding, of course, the earth element. It's also present. It's our physical matter. It's the earth takes up space, right? Here we've got the space and we've got the earth in it. And that is like the quality of the earth client or person. They take up space and they are there for you. You can lean on them. Now, sometimes they are so there and so present, it's almost turns into, you could say, a kind of a haze or a stupor or overly comfortable. So an earth client might feel stuck. They might have been doing the same thing for so long that they're a bit set in their ways. It's hard for them to take feedback from people in their life. They're there for the people that they care for and that who rely on them, but they don't really want to be told to change. So it's important when you're working with an earth person to give them time and to let the change come from within them. Give them time to process, to understand themselves, and to allow their own inner motivation. Now, sometimes an earth person has some fire in them as well, or some air in them, and they are more open to suggestions. It's more rare that a very stuck earth person comes to coaching. Usually an earth client has quite a bit of fire and air in them also, and that's why they are there seeking help and support. I think that's important to know. Now, it is quite common that we will have a client who wants to help their earth partner or their earth child or parent. And so we can always help a client help someone else in developing their relationship to be closer, to understand the key person better, to support them more. But I think it's important to be clear with a client that you can't really help them change someone else. You need to help the client with themselves, with their feelings about the key person, with their actions, with their communications. And in that way, the relationship will change. And hopefully the key person will change also. But the work we're doing is directly with our client. So when Earth is in balance in a person's persona and experience and emotions, they're very, like I said, steady, hardworking, present, patient, grounded, loving. They make incredible caregivers, incredible builders of things, because they'll keep going, whatever it is, whether they're building something physical or something mental, they'll keep working with consistent, practical steps. So like I love working on a project with someone who's an earth person because they keep me grounded and steady, and they will go back with patience to whatever task at hand over and over again. So it's a fantastic quality. I feel like a cheerleader for all of these elements because they are all fantastic. And I think we want to empower all of in the balance state, we want to empower all the elements in ourselves. Now, do you have a lot of earth? Can you feel into that? Do you know anyone who has a lot of earth? Do you ever want to push them forward a little bit? Or just lean in on them and feel that coziness? What do you feel about the earth element? Do you like it? Do you not like it? So often with earth element, we want to add some flexibility. We want to add some spontaneity, new things, that ability to see a new perspective, to really understand key people in their life, where they're at today, not where they were in the past. That can be challenging for an earth person, and they need your help. We also want to help them have multiple points of view at one time, different feelings at one time. We might be working with their speed. So they might need to do some practices to help them get going. That might be walking, that might be breathing techniques, that might be brainstorming or creativity techniques to help activate some of that inner speed in them. And that helps them balance. So now let's look at water. So water is one of those beautiful qualities that is about flow, movement, comfort, ease. Water is often the part of us that's very free flowing, and the feminine in all of us, regardless of gender. It is sensitive, it is empathic, it is intuitive. Now, on the negative side, water can sometimes lack boundaries. It needs earth and stability for boundaries. Sometimes water can be self-critical because it is so sensitive. There might be a tendency to self-shame or blame. Sometimes water can be very changeable. It just moves into a new direction, and sometimes it almost loses a sense of self because it's so flexible and changeable. It's adapting to what other people want and need. Now, that can even happen for water people in terms of believing they've done something they haven't done just because they intended to do it. So if you've ever found yourself going, oh yeah, I took care of that, and then you realize you didn't take care of that, it might be because you felt so strongly the intention to do that action that it registered in your system as having done it. So I love a story that one of my teachers tells about working with a person who is a water element primary personality, and they ask them to send a package. And the water person says, yes, of course, I sent the package. And then a week later, they say, the package never arrived. Are you sure you sent the package? And they check and they go, oh no, I didn't send the package. I thought I had because I had a strong intention to do it. So that's where water can be so comfortable and easygoing that it believes the intentionality and sometimes doesn't check on the action. And that's where water needs a little fire for that more careful, discerning quality that follows through. So the great thing about the elements is they all need each other and we need all of them. So we may have more of them in a certain proportion naturally in our personality. And by the way, our physical body can be more one element or another, but our emotions and our personality and our mind are more of one or another element. So, like, for example, we might have a lot of fire and inflammation in our body for whatever reason, but then as a personality, we've trained ourselves or we've been conditioned to be more like earth, more steady, more loyal, steadfast, trustable, that kind of thing, or more like water. So it can be almost that our personality, this is what I find, this isn't the traditional teachings, but I find sometimes personalities form actually in a little bit of a contrast to the physical body. So it's important to really be, because we're coaches here, we're not Ayurvedic practitioners working with the body. I think it's important to pay attention to the emotions, thoughts, behaviors, all the things that make up communications, language, that make up our personality. I think that's really important. And it's really fun to work at this level. So in the program I teach, we have session plans specifically for helping a person realize for themselves which elements are more active or more in balance, or which elements are needing more support. And we can do really cool activities to help us. So just being next to water helps water find more balance. Sitting next to a cozy fire or appreciating the sun and the warmth of the sun helps fire be in more balance. Walking on the ground barefoot helps earth be more in balance. And I'm giving you very nature-based techniques. With air element, I find often when it's out of whack, it's too expanded. So helping air through breathing practices and energy practices where we're coming together and we're centering. I find that really helpful for air that's gone too expanded. So let's talk a little bit about when water is in balance. And please throw in a comment here about yourself. How do you relate to water? What is water like in your personality? So when water is in balance, we're comfortable, peaceful, we have ease, we feel safe, we're open, and we have a beautiful container, like a beautiful lake. And we might be mystical, we might be more spiritual when water's in balance. And we might feel more innately, truly authentic in ourself. So when you're feeling that sense of truth and like, oh, I'm just in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, that would be water in balance in your system. That would be like the way I feel. It's like a water goddess coming and saying, I give you a blessing. You're doing the right thing at the right time in the right place for you. And that feels like authentic truth. Okay, let's check in. What do we want to add in to help water? So we want to add healthy boundaries. We want to add emotional mastery or wellness techniques. So learning to process emotions, to listen to the body, to listen to the feelings. We want to learn communication skills that help us to be able to speak our truth and not only be a people pleaser, because that can happen for water element personalities. Might be so flexible that they're like a chameleon adapting to other people's needs and not being able to set boundaries or say no in a loving way, in a clear way. So there's a lot we can add in to help water become more balanced. Grounding and sometimes energy clearing. So water might, on the negative, absorb a lot of emotions and energies from others because we're so adaptable in water element. So we've also got to learn to clear and release, and water itself is purifying. So sometimes that means just taking a shower with the intention to clear things off. Sometimes that means singing or breathing or shaking it out or dancing or laughing or crying, all these things to help clear energy and emotions from our system. All right. I hope that you have enjoyed our time together today, kind of learning about the 4 client types. And I really want to know which one relates the most to you. And have you ever been in a situation where you're helping someone who is a different type than you are, and you found it challenging for some reason? Or have you ever been in a situation where you realized you and a friend are just that same quality and it makes it so easy? Or you and a client? So we are fascinating, right? All of us are fascinating. We are all of these element types, and we can learn from them, we can grow with them, and we can learn and help each other through understanding them. So be well. I hope that earth, water, air, fire, and space also are all beautifully interacting and giving to you today in your life. Take care.